Hey everyone. So tonight we are live with Dr. Philip Zini III. Alice Boswell is behind the scenes, and so is Angel Conway. We're going to be getting some questions in from the audience. So, Dr. Philip, I know we were going to be talking a little bit about mindset and also a little bit about Alzheimer's and how sugar affects that. What are a few so I do have a couple questions that people were asking. What are some low glycemic vegetables that they can use in regards to for their brain to function?
Sure. So nowadays, it's kind of the concept that Alzheimer's is considered maybe type 3 diabetes. In other words, where people have not well controlled blood sugar, it can cause what's termed microvascular disease, which means the small, tiny vessels in the brain get traumatized. So that decreases the blood flow to the brain. Therefore, areas of the brain literally die off. And people will think, well, if I keep my blood sugar okay, that's good. And blood sugar is just kind of the iceberg above the waterline marker. It's really insulin levels that have to be kept down because insulin is a big protein that's kind of like a wrecking ball that goes through the vascular system, causing irritation. So, getting back to your question, you want to consume foods that don't turn into sugar quickly so that this way insulin is kept at a low level, which then will keep blood sugar low. So people are constantly concerned about blood sugar, and they should be, but it's really the insulin level that should be kept low. So I like the antioxidant type of vegetables, which are your green leafy vegetables that will help to keep your blood sugar down, that are rich with antioxidants. Those are good. Also, there are some fruits that should be used sparingly. So again, it's the darkly pigmented ones. So blackberries or blueberries, those seem to be better for you. But again, in moderation. And if you're going to have them, usually in the middle of your day when you're a little bit more active. So again, if you could just kind of maintain more of a ketogenic diet, so that's also low glycemic. It's also relatively high good protein. Proteins that are high in omega-3 fatty acids, like cold water or deep ocean fish, those are going to be better for the brain for yourself too.
Oh, that's awesome. So I know that's the reason why I started all this as well, because my father passed away of Alzheimer's, which is type 3 diabetes, as you had mentioned, Dr. Philip. Um, what I know that I did a couple of research. What are some medications that people should be looking out for in reference to becoming or getting like Alzheimer's or dementia?
So, unfortunately, mainstream medicine would like to think that they're helping out some aspects, but the reality is downstream they could be causing some problems. And the most common one is something called diphenhydramine, which is a common over the counter antihistamine. And that's been shown to cause either Alzheimer's or some people call it kind of microvascular dementia. Um, and then, believe it or not, there are even some good medications that are used for good reasons. For example, some of the statins, which are for cholesterol, they, if used over a long period of time, they can cause either dementia or Alzheimer's. And then the latest kind of group are what are called the acid inhibitors. Those are medicines that are used for either GERD or reflux, because by suppressing acid, you're throwing off the gut flora and the normal, good, healthy bacteria. And it seems like every day I'm reading an article that ties in um, gut or GI health to brain health. So anything that you can do to have a healthy GI, normal microbiota, which is called the natural flora of the natural bacteria, that's going to be beneficial. So that gets kind of thrown off when you're using these anti-acid type of medicines. So again, it just goes back to lifestyle and trying to eat and consume a good, healthy diet. Get exercise because exercise pumps blood, which has a lot of oxygen to the brain. So those are all the natural things that you can do to help prevent Alzheimer's. And by doing that, that's going to keep you off of your statins, your cholesterol medicines. And by reducing weight, that's going to help with your acid reflux, so you can get off of those medications. And again, by controlling the foods that you eat, you may not even have allergy type issues. So you may not need your diphenhydramine. So there's a lot of natural things that can be done to help out and kind of prevent or minimally forestall having Alzheimer's.
Man, that's really good information, Dr. Philip. Um, the other thing that I wanted to touch base, I know a lot of people, it's hard for them to remove sugars from their diet.
Mhm.
What are some steps? So that's where the mindset comes into play. What are a couple of steps for them to start either slowly removing the sugars from their diet? And what would you suggest for them to start off it?
So I literally had a patient today, 375 pounds, and he said, "Well, I think I'm going to start a Ozempic, and then do you think if I get rid of the Red Bull, that would kind of help and replace it with something that is sugar free?" So yes, the replacing things is a good place to start, and don't even get me started on Ozempic. We'll talk about that some other time. But the problem with replacing a sugar laden drink, whether it's some type of energy drink, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to pick on Red Bull. If it's some type of energy drink or even some type of soda that has sugar, when you replace it with a, a artificial sugar, one, artificial sugars have been shown not to be so good. And then two, even though it may be a plant-based one like stevia, your body still is getting that kind of taste, if you will. It's still kind of getting that feel that you had something sweet. So your body's going to want to kind of crave that. So the best thing to do is gradually, if you can, replace, so let's say you have, and this is not exaggerating, let's say you have 10 sodas a day. Maybe you start replacing two or three a day with lemon water or water with lime in it, something like that. And then gradually your body will get used to it. And then there has to be the deeper dive into why are you craving that? And usually it's a thyroid issue or immune issue or a gut issue or as you started off, the mindset in that sometimes people don't realize it, but they're kind of depressed. And one of the ways to kind of suppress your depression or kind of feed your depression is by making yourself feel good by eating something. So if you can recognize what the issue was that is leading up to that depression, leading up to that mindset, um, and attacking that root cause, that'll help out. For a lot of people, they think that it's what is the genetics behind it, and I tell a lot of people it's not really genetics, it's really culture. And it's really culture that's behind the eating behavior that causes a lot of these things.
Yeah.
It looks like John said, what is the research advancements that are being made in Alzheimer's disease? So, John, unfortunately, there's a lot of medications out there that may help to maintain the brain where it's at. Um, Maybe some will kind of delay, uh, but there is no mainstream medicine cure for Alzheimer's. That's why you have to do everything that you can while you're young in order to forestall that. There is genetic testing that you can do to see if you're genetically predisposed to it, because there are some genetic DNA markers for that. And if you are, then you should be doing a full court press on anything and everything to forestall that. So that means looking at your blood pressure, making sure your blood pressure is well controlled, looking at your blood sugar, like we just talked about, making sure that's well controlled, making sure that your weight is well controlled. There's a famous neurologist. His name is Dr. Daniel Ammon, and he's out of Northern California. And he's probably done more brain studies than anyone else in the United States. And he has shown that the larger your body is, the smaller your brain is. So just think about that. So if you're morbidly obese, which could mean that your body mass index is 40. And again, I saw a gentleman today, his body mass index was 50, 50. So imagine being that overweight. That's how much smaller your brain is. So you want to do everything and anything possible. So not only all those lifestyle things that we talked about, but also you want to do some insurance type things. So the insurance type things are making sure that the inside of the cell is getting all the antioxidant nutrients it needs to make sure that it's replicating or reproducing good, healthy cells. And that's a good glutathione product. And we happen to have a state-of-the-art glutamist product. Then on the outside of the cell, you want to help out with using something like a mangosteen product because it helps out with inflammation. And inflammation is the core for all of these diseases, whether it be a diabetic issue or a thyroid issue, a weight issue, a GI issue. It's all inflammation. So you want to kind of put out the flames of that inflammation. And with that, we have a proprietary Xanthomist product that's in a little orange spray bottle, kind of looks like a mini fire extinguisher. And then on the core, you want to make sure that you have a good bioavailable multivitamin, which means that something that your body can absorb. Even if you have an unhealthy gut, which the mangosteen xanthomist product and the glutathione glutamist product that's going to help out, you want to have that core supplement, and it's called the ultimate vitamin. And then the final to help boost the immune system, besides all the other ones, it's called Super 7 because it has all the superfoods that help out with the antioxidants. Then someone else said, how can caregivers and family members support someone with Alzheimer's disease? This is going to sound kind of cold, but the reality is the first thing you do is take care of yourself. And what I mean by that is in the medical setting, whenever there is an emergency, the first thing we're taught to do is take our own pulse. What that means is we need to be clear thinking, we need to be level headed. Same thing with caregivers. You've got to take care of yourself. If you're burning the candle at both ends, then you're not going to be a help to anyone. You're going to be tired, sluggish, you're going to make mistakes, you're going to be irritable and grumpy. So you want to make sure you take care of yourself, because when you do that, now you're going to have the patience and the mercy and the love and the kindness to take care of that person that's going to ask you the same question 15 times in 15 minutes. And I've been there. So I know what it's like. And in the beginning, I got frustrated, but at the end, I was kind of graciously thankful because I didn't have to think. I would just come up with the answer, and that would be the same answer I would give 15 times in the next 15 minutes. So just be kind, just be loving, just be supportive, do the best you can to help them with having nutritious foods, healthy foods. Make sure that they're going to protect themselves. They're not going to be able to hurt themselves or, God forbid, wander off. And if it ever gets to a point, then you should be thinking about a memory care facility where they can monitor someone 24/7.
That's a great answer, Dr. Phil, because a lot of people don't believe that. You know, they want to take care of their family members and they don't take care of themselves, you know. So
Mhm.
that's a really good answer that you did give, because a lot of people don't do that. And I've seen it firsthand.
You're right. And unfortunately, I'm seeing a rise in that. What I mean by that, caregivers, because in one of my day jobs, I do pre uh, work, pre hire physical exams. And at least 2 or 3 times a week, I'm doing a new hire exam on someone that is being hired by the government to care for someone that has some type of chronic ailment, and it's usually brain related. So I've seen an uptick, and I don't think it's going to get any better, unfortunately. So that's why now, if you can, invest in your own health, invest in your own care, so this way you can lovingly care for someone else. The other thing too is culturally it's big in the Filipino families, in the Latin families, in the Asian families. It's really big that you have multi-generation families where you'll have the third generation taking care of grandma and grandfather. Um, and sometimes the children will be taking care of them. It's kind of the whole family taking care of them. So the whole family really needs to kind of take care of themselves.
True. We have another
So
question, Dr. Philip.
yeah, I
Next,
just saw that.
okay.
So so Alzheimer's classically is these deposits that come up in the brain that can be detected either on an MRI or special imaging like a PET scan. Um, and these deposits essentially short circuit the brain. So instead of the nerve endings connecting end to end, there's these deposits in between that create a block so the nerve endings can't connect. So in kind of a loose term, that's Alzheimer's. All of the other dementias are usually microvascular or atrophic, which means just slowly getting smaller, which means that the blood flow is being decreased to the brain. And that's because of diabetes, high blood pressure. So that's why it's really important now to take care of yourself. They've done studies, and there is virtually no Alzheimer's in um, South Africa or sub-Saharan climates. And that's because they're very lean individuals. Um, there used to be that kind of in the Asian population, but unfortunately, Asian populations have been kind of westernized, so we're slowly killing them. Sorry. Um, but in populations that haven't been tainted by Western culture or Western civilization, the risk of Alzheimer is nil because they're very lean. They eat primarily a plant-based diet, which is naturally inherently low glycemic. So they do very well. They do very good. Is there any way you could slow it down by food or vitamins? So again, everything we talked about, reduce your risk for diabetes. So keep your A1C as low as possible, as low below 5.4 as you can. That'll help out. Keep your blood pressure low. Again, lower than 120 over 80. Make sure that your gut is healthy. That means, I know this sounds gross, but make sure you're having at least one bowel movement a day. Get lots of fiber to ensure that. Drink lots of water to ensure that. Um, and make sure that you're getting plenty of exercise, aerobic exercise, even something called HIIT, high intensity interval training, where you're doing something fast paced and you can't talk to anyone for 2 or 3 minutes, and then maybe relatively slower. Excuse me, I had that reversed. Fast paced for about 20, maybe 15 seconds, and then slower paced for 2 or 3 minutes. So doing that type of activity, and all total maybe 20 or 30 minutes to start off with, if you can, because that's going to help get more blood flow to the brain. And then that kind of foundation supplement that we talked for, which we kind of bundled and called Vital for Life, because you need all that in order to help out. Can coconut oil help out with brain health? So coconut oil is one of the better antioxidant oils. So yes, that's good. Same thing with avocado oil, same thing with olive oil. But again, everything is kind of in moderation. We had a little dust up where I was corrected last week. Avocados are good for you, but they're relatively high in calories. A small avocado could be anywhere to about 240, 250 calories, a whole one. So sparingly, that can be good. So, and then also the good thing about coconut oil and avocado oil is they can be used at relatively high temperatures without breaking down. So they're good for cooking. I use it as part of my salad dressing because I just like the flavor. So yes. Have you heard of a possible link between aluminum and Alzheimer's? Angel, you're killing me. So unfortunately, there's a risk, and just do any type, plug it into your favorite search engine, and you're going to find a risk for any of the heavy metals. So whether it's aluminum, magnesium, yes, there can be a risk between that and Alzheimer's. So, back in the day, and I'm giving my age away, Teflon was the big thing because it coated the surface of your aluminum pan. But then the Teflon surface would get scratched away, and now you've got aluminum. So, yes, there is a link between heavy metals in general. So a good functional medicine test to look for heavy metal toxicity is good. So if you can avoid cooking in aluminum, I haven't heard anything about cast iron. My wife still has her grandmother's cast iron frying pan that, I shouldn't be telling you this, but made fried tortillas. So we use it for other things, but not fried tortillas. But cast iron has been around a long time, and it's okay. Does flavored water count? So just make sure that it doesn't have any artificial flavorings, and it should be okay. And make sure it doesn't have any preservatives and it should be okay. Again, that's why, just get lemon, concentrated lemon juice or concentrated lime juice, and just put a squirt of that in your water, and that's going to help out.
That's true. That's true. Thank you so much, Dr. Philip, with all that information that you just gave. So, what would you like to wrap up and talk a little bit more about the glutamist? I think the glutamist is a good one that I think we can touch base on, especially
Yeah,
with the
so
information.
so if you think about it, there's 4 quadrants that we touched on. The
Mhm.
inside of the cell with the glutamist, the glutathione product, the outside of the cell, anti-inflammatory with the xanthomist, the mangosteen product, the core with the ultimate vitamin, and then the super 7 with the immune system. So if you think about those 4 quadrants, the first quadrant is glutathione, because glutathione starts to the production of it in your body starts to taper off at about age 20. So by age 40, your body really can't make as much as it should. So you really should be supplementing with something at age 40. And again, the big thing that glutathione does is it helps the cell to make good, healthy duplicate cells. Your body is making 3.3 million cells every second. So you want to make sure that you're replicating healthy, good cells. Just imagine, the old, again, I'm giving my age away, the old Xerox copier. Um, if you have a original and it's got a little line on it, the more copies you make from that copy, that line is going to get darker and darker. The image is going to get blurred and blurred because you're not making copies of the original. You're making copies of the copy. So you want to make sure that you're copying good, healthy cells. And that's what glutathione does, is not only helping out with antioxidant function, but also inflammatory function, cellular energy production, good mental health and mental focus and clarity. So that's why it's kind of maybe the cornerstone of our foundational um, uh, pack of 4. So yeah, good point.
Yeah, that's awesome. I know that we did touch base on a lot today, especially with Alzheimer's. And with all that being said, I know that you also touched base about, you know, the vitamins and also the vegetables and the foods that we're eating.
Mm-hmm.
And overall, everything that we are doing is about inflammation and how to keep that as low as possible. But also, working out as well, Dr. Philip, as you had
Mm-hmm.
mentioned. We have to work out each day.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
So, everyone, we are concluding tonight. Dr. Philip, I am truly grateful for all your knowledge and everything that you do for us. And you're always supporting and, answering all these questions for all of our audience speakers. So, I am truly grateful for Dr. Philip Zini. He's one of our top doctors, and, he's truly invested and has been there for all of us. So, that being said, I'm grateful for you and everything that you are doing and touching people's lives, Dr. Philip. I can't thank you enough. I'll be honest with that. So
Amen.
thank you. But overall, thank you everyone for reaching out and asking all the questions that you have tonight. And um, take it away, Dr. Philip.
So we're here every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. on the East Coast. And if you're somewhere else, sorry, I don't know the time zones for that. Oh, I do. Mountain is 7. So thank you very much for joining us. Live a healthy life. Live the best life you can. Be grateful. Be merciful to the people around you. Love yourself and love others, and you will do well.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Phillip. And we'll see you guys again next Wednesday, same time, with Living Well, the Ultimate Health Journey.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye. Bye.